Hello, hello, hello. It's Randy Byrd, and you see a pretty lady above me. This is Sarah Odegaard from Seattle, and we're on Tuesday Titans Live. I'm very excited to have you on the show. Let me brag on you just a little bit, Sarah, before we get started. And I know you're very humble. When we started, you're like, I don't know. I don't really talk about my production. But she is a top Remax agent up in the Seattle area. In her 20s, she started acquiring rental properties just because. I don't know what the purpose was, but you started acquiring rental properties, did very, very well with that. You told me a story before about how you just had this vision of giving 1 million and then 10 million and all these things. And it was really intriguing for somebody of that age. Now you're a $30+ million producer, 40+ homes a year, 40+ loans done by you a year, and on top of that production. Yeah. So the people listening are like mind blown that you're doing, 30, 40 million a year plus an area of doing the loans and that opportunity as well, which is really, really amazing. So you have a lending company, a real estate company. I met you through the Tom Ferry ecosystem, and it's really, really great to have you on the show. I really appreciate you being here. And you are, in my opinion, the epitome of a Tuesday Titan, of a Titan of the industry. And I just love sharing, stories and opportunities of how people can plug into their businesses and learn from you and learn from some of the things that you've done in your career. So with that, welcome to the show, Sarah. Sarah, I appreciate you.
Thank you, Randy.
Yeah, I'm very blush. No, listen, I'm very excited. And, I appreciate the humility. I really appreciate the being a top agent, really not even paying attention to what you're doing in terms of volume and sales, but really focused on the customer. And that's what comes out for me and you.
Yeah.
And we've been friends for a little bit now, met through the Tom Ferry ecosystem. And I'm really excited to circle back and talk about some of that. We have some cool stories to talk about. We'll talk about the Snickers.
Oh my gosh.
Right? That's so funny. I still, to this day, I see a Snickers and I think of you and you alone. So either that's good or bad, but we'll tell the viewers that story. But what I'd like to do is maybe start with this. Like, let's start with letting people get to know you a little bit. Let people get into your head a little bit and kind of let the story unfold a bit about you and really kind of what makes you tick, what fuels you. So number one, like, I like to start with, what are 1 to 2 or 3 books that most influence you professionally and personally? Like, what are you reading now? What are you tuned into?
Yeah. So, because I was just at Tom Ferry Summit, I picked up this little guy.
I love it.
So he had Tim Grover speak, and I haven't even started yet, but it's like the next one. And then probably Limitless, which has been sitting on my bedstand too long. So
one of my favorites. I just finished Extreme Ownership, which I thought was a new book, but it's like 5 years old by
Jocko. Yes. Yeah.
It was spectacular.
Oh, that's awesome. I think I have it. I have a pile of read, and not read is still, because every time I'm at an event, I'm just ordering books on Amazon.
Totally.
So yeah.
So are you a reader, or do you do podcasts and listen to audibles, or both, or what's your style?
Yeah, I do all of it. I was doing a lot of Audible on walks, and then the weather is not that great here right now. So I'm just more reading a little bit. Definitely just getting more into podcasts, because now I've been driving to Oregon every other week. So have a little more time for the bigger pockets or whatever.
Yeah, totally.
And your podcast, obviously.
Yeah, totally. And Bigger Pockets is a great one.
It's so good. Like, people are doing the craziest, most amazing things.
Very creative.
It's so inspiring. Yeah.
Yeah. I sold a house in Guerneville, Santa Rosa, California. I sold it off of Bigger Pockets. So we posted it on Bigger Pockets, just kind of on a whim. We sold it to some lady that flew in from somewhere, flew in, bought it, flew out, and it came from that podcast. So it's pretty cool.
That's so cool. Yeah.
And you're a horse gal, right? You're a horse gal through and through.
Yes, definitely.
So I followed your post on horses, and we were joking a little bit about the type of horses and how non-horse people think everything's an Arabian and a Budweiser.
Oh my gosh, Arabians. Yeah, or a Clydesdale.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm that's a Clydesdale, right? I act like I know what I'm talking about, but it's only because of Budweiser.
Yeah.
But so where did that journey start for you? Being from Seattle.
So Honestly, there's certain people that are just born horse crazy. And that was me. I mean, it's all I talked about since I was a little kid. So I got a pony when I was 5 by accident. And well, by accident, I went with my grandpa to get my aunt a pony. And then I just went out there and brought a pony to the car. So then my parents had to buy her. And then the guy was like, oh, why is she more money than the other ponies? And so I picked the pregnant pony. So then I got 2, which was magical.
Right.
Yeah. And then my sister had to get one. So all of a sudden, my poor parents were horse people.
Right. Now you're horse people.
Yeah. And so both my middle sister and I, we showed all the way through high school, multiple different horses, different events. And then so at college, I got cut off. So it took me from college to about 7 or 8 years ago to just get back into it.
All right.
Yeah, because it took me so long to get the schedule, to be able to afford it. It's so expensive. And even now it's like just trying to balance, and then the shows and the time and the expense. I used to have an account called Travel Account, and I changed it to like Horse Show Account.
Right.
So
that is
I
the
won't
travel.
be going to Galapagos again anytime soon.
Right. I love that.
Yeah.
So how many horses do you have now?
So I have 2 right now.
Okay.
I have one that lives here up in Redmond, and then another one in Malala.
No. Is that why you're driving to Oregon quite a bit?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I try to go see him a couple times a month. And then the one here I see a couple times a week. So
that's very cool.
Yeah.
And were you born and raised up in Washington?
Yes. Yeah. I'm from Bothell.
No kidding.
Yeah.
We were just in Bothell about 3-4 weeks ago, I think maybe a month ago.
Oh yeah. You were here.
Yeah. And we golfed at the country club there. We just got treated.
Oh, Mill Creek. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A couple guys up there, really, really good.
Nice.
Guys, but Dave and Tom, I've always enjoyed horses. And when I was little, I was enamored by horses. And then I had like a personal experience where a friend of mine fell off a horse and died, and it was kind of a freak accident.
Yeah.
And from that time on, I had this mental block about horses, and it's carried with me. And I named my youngest son after this guy. His name was Patrick. And, we loved him, and it was maybe just a traumatic thing.
Yeah.
But I'd rode horses and stuff before that. But after that, I was just kind of like, I'm done with them. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went finally a few years later. I was telling you a little bit before, but went to my dad's girlfriend's that had a bunch of horses and had a ranch in Atascadero. And, after a day of me saying no kids on the horses and stuff, she finally talked me into it. The calmest horse ever on the name of the planet, and all this. And first thing, sets my son on top of the horse. The horse goes boom, straight up. So does my son. Horse runs off. My son hits the ground in the dust, and he's screaming. And I'm like, and again, that's the experience. So I love animals. I love rodeos. I love horses. I love all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, I have this thing in the back of my head that they want to eat me.
I know. Yeah. Some of them do. I mean, I just fell off a few weeks ago.
Is that right?
Actually. Yeah. And but it's just like life. It's all about perspective. So my horse, it's the horse I've actually had for a few years, and he just spooked and did a 180. And normally,
you just went.
I like stayed here and he went there. And so, but it's so cute because he stopped, turned around, and then he just stared at me.
Came to check on mama.
Yeah. Like they don't understand like why you're not with them.
Oh,
so,
wow. That's a
yeah.
trip.
Yeah. So but it happens.
I will definitely come see you ride. And what do you do when you show? What is it you're doing?
Yeah, so it's called saddle seat. It's a type of English riding.
Is it? Okay,
so,
awesome.
Yeah, it's not like hunt seat or jumping. It's totally different. It's only certain horses you ride that style. So yeah, it's kind of hard to explain. They don't have it in the Olympic Games, so or at the rodeo, so nobody knows what it is. But actually, I've been doing that since I was 9. So
really?
The type of horse I ride, that's kind of their main thing where they shine. So
very interesting. Well,
yeah.
I love watching all that. So I'll come see
Yeah.
you when you're doing it next
Yes.
in this.
Yeah. I'll be in Eugene and Salem next year or this coming year. So
awesome. I'd
yeah,
love to
I'll keep you posted.
Yeah,
Yes.
please do. Please do. Maybe you can convert me into a horse guy.
I will try. Yes.
Some of my best friends are horse trainers, literally.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just, I'm like, yeah, I'll get you out in the back for a beer when you're done.
Yeah. They're just like dogs, just a lot bigger. And
yeah, right.
True story. They really are just like dogs.
So Sarah, you have this massive business. Horses are your passion, right? To probably balance the craziness of the real estate world that we're in and lending world. You're getting it from both sides. You obviously picked two things that are complementary to the same business, but man, that's a stressful situation to be on both ends of that, right?
It can be. Yeah.
I bet there's value in controlling that side of the transaction as well, because that's
huge.
That's the part. Yeah, that's the part in our realtor minds that we're like, hey, I can't control that. I can do all this. I can't do that.
Yeah.
So that's got to be valuable. So you're doing a ton of business. How do you manage all that? I want the people that are listening to this call, doing $34 million in production, 35, 40 loans a year on top of that, balancing all this, and then finding time to have a life and have fun that is in your passion circle. How do you pull that together? So
I'm definitely still working on it. It's not easy. I've always wanted my business to fit into my life and vice versa.
Yeah.
So this is like every coach's worst nightmare probably, but
hold on.
I have no set off time. It's like, this is always here. And right now I'm going to do this. Yeah. So the one thing I love about riding is that when you're riding horses, you cannot think about anything else. You're looking, you're using your hands, using your legs, you're thinking, you're listening. You're always trying to, if there's going to be something that makes them spook, you want to know first. And you use every single muscle and your brain, and it's cardio. So it's like, there's no time where for me, I can go running, walking, hiking. I can solve massive problems in a yoga class, but riding for me was the only thing where I can just like live.
Wow.
It's so interesting. Maybe if you're just on a trail ride, that's different. But what I do, it's so just high energy. It's like a HIIT workout.
That's really amazing that you reference it like that. And you said I could solve complex math equations in yoga. That's me.
I can.
It's like I tried to meditate. And I'm like, did I do it?
Yeah, right. Okay, like this is fixed.
Are we done?
Yeah. So
or I shut my eyes for a minute and then I get this amazing idea and I'm like, I'm out, man. I got to write this down,
Yeah. I get my best. I solve any mortgage problem where I'm like, gosh, I wasn't expecting that. What am I going to do? Okay. Tomorrow I'll think about it for an hour. I'll figure it out. I always figure it out. Yeah. People throw curveballs at you all the time. Like,
of course,
someone transferred me this money and it's not family. So, well, that's going to be a problem. So, but most of those problems, like I'll just wake up in the middle of the night and just bam, done.
Right.
Like, this is how we're going to do it. Yeah. So I'm not the best sleeper. I've never been a good sleeper. But yeah, it all blends together, and I try not to get stressed out that there's no, I don't have like a set day off where I do nothing. I'm not very good at that. Even if I had it, I'd probably go in my office and start organizing some database or doing my taxes or, like whatever else.
Right.
So it definitely fits my personality to kind of have different, juggling different things all the time. So I mean, even just like last week, I had to go to Malala. On the way there, I answered a million phone calls. I got in a podcast. I think one time I had to stop at a rest stop and do a Zoom because I didn't quite make it to Malala where I could park. The Cafe Yum in Vancouver, I'm constantly on a Zoom or a phone call. That's like my pit stop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
it
so
kind
funny.
of just follows me around. But also I do have people, I can't do all this by myself. So I do have a full-time TC.
Yeah.
But I am
Transaction coordinator.
yeah, transaction coordinator.
Yeah.
And I also have a VA that works for me from 3:30 to 7:30 p.m.
Awesome.
Yeah,
What country are they from?
she's in the Philippines.
Okay, yep. Philippines,
Yeah.
India, and now Pakistan's really up and coming
Oh
for
yeah,
VAs.
yeah. It's so great. I really was hesitant about having one for a long time. But what I didn't realize was it is, because it's like here, anything that someone helps me with here, I want to pay them well and feel good about it. I don't ever want to succeed off of someone else's back, like that feeling, like this is cheap and now I'm like the queen.
Yeah.
I hate that. So I had a hard time. I'm like, no, I'll just get someone here and pay them, everything they want.
Right.
But I didn't know that in the Philippines, and can't speak on the other countries, but it's actually one of the best jobs. People fight to be a VA at a company, and they actually are very highly paid for being in the Philippines.
Their geographical location, yeah.
Yes, and they love it, and it's very good job security. The main challenge there is they do have a lot of rain and weather issues, so sometimes they don't have internet.
Right.
So, but you just kind of everywhere has their thing, and so I don't have her doing things where if she can't do it for half a day, everything's going to fall apart,
Sure.
Yeah, so those are my only two people. And then occasionally I do have newer agents, show a few houses here and there for me just to help me like leverage a little bit. Yeah, so
that's really amazing that you have that kind of workload and you're doing that effectively, with this very small team.
Yeah.
It shows a lot about you and
yeah,
the drive that you have in the business.
Yeah. And I know it's not the best leverage and I should be having a million other people do everything. And I get that, but I don't know. I get really attached to my clients and I want to be there for key.
Is it a control thing? Is it a obligation to the clients? What's it for you? Because I know I have my own things that come up.
Yeah, it's kind of both. I think the next thing I could give away and delegate is probably I'm very good at having people cover for me when I'm gone, but easily I could do that here
all the time.
I could, yeah. Right. But I kind of like it, and I do thrive a lot on the stress. Like but it's just the personality type. I'm an A and like a high D and I.
Oh yeah, and solid red personality.
Just fire sign, Leo, like all the things.
Whole thing. Are you Leo as well?
Yes.
Yeah, I am. So we're like,
just
from
crazy,
the same cloth here.
People. Yeah.
What day is your birthday?
The 20th, August.
18th.
What, really?
Yeah, 18th. Leo.
Surprised.
That's so awesome.
Oh, man.
Where I think the value of this is, Sarah, is people watching the show, they always look up to how do they do it? How do they manage that stuff? And for me, I'm on my best game when I've got 5 things up in the air. That's when I'm on my best, right? You said that.
Yeah.
And when I get not enough going on, I feel complacent. I feel almost like I'm out of sync.
I kind of freak out. Yeah.
Yeah, I get out of sync with that.
Yeah.
And so it's not about the goals. We talked before. It's not about the goals.
Yeah.
It's not about the units. It's not about the money. You don't even know if you're number one in the office. You probably are based on.
I heard a rumor, but like honestly, I have no idea.
Yeah, and I appreciate the humility.
Yeah.
But also it shows me who you are as a person. Your clients love you. Obviously, your history and reviews and things speak for themselves. But it's intriguing to me, and I think it's valuable for the listener to understand that as well, is what makes the wiring different with a super high productive agent that is going from a couple 100,000 to 400 to 600 to 800 to $1 million a year GCI.
Yeah.
What changes and what happens in that scale of that business, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I love that about you. So let me ask you, what are bad recommendations or bad advice you hear the most in the real estate business?
Oh yeah. So as you know, I did my homework right before we met. So, but it was
They don't know that though. So.
I know, but it's okay because I'm busy and and that should make other people feel okay about being the same way. So
True.
and plus, it's like good to just be authentic, and it is what it is.
I agree.
Yeah. So, I have heard, especially when I meet with let's start with a buyer.
Yeah.
They will say, we talked to this agent from XYZ and they said, it's just too crazy. We should wait. Things are going up. It's going to crash. It's going to this, it's going to that.
Yeah. Crystal ball.
And sure. I mean, anything can happen tomorrow. Look what COVID did. No one expected that. Everyone thought actually that things would crash, and it completely blew up.
Blew up.
Huge. Yeah. So nobody knows. No one has a crystal ball. And even with rates, same thing. Every day people ask me, are they going to go down? And sure, they actually go up and down like every single day. So I always just say, yes, they will, but probably not when we're going to lock it. So,
right.
So I always have a different strategy depending on the situation. But yeah, just that advice. I hear that when people find me, so-and-so said that it's too crazy. We should wait. Or I have to say, the common myth, I have to have this down payment or this credit score or, whatever. And I think those things are more personal preference, than have to, because as we know, there's tons of programs and loans, and Fannie Mae is very generous these days. So definitely that probably on the buyer side. And I really think it comes down to, they're probably running into just someone that's not as competent in what's happening right now. I had a listing last night. I was up till midnight. We had 9 offers, which actually wasn't that many. And it went 200 over asking, and
wow.
in a neighborhood that is definitely the highest price and by a landslide. Wow. So, and you see all the offers on the listing side. And so I know there's people out there that just are probably telling buyers that because they're not comfortable with what's happening and how to win.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a great statement. How to win, right?
How to win.
It's not always money. It's not always money.
Not.
We know that the negotiating skills and that piece of it, and the ability to complete, and your track record and all these other things have massive weight on it, right?
Yeah, definitely. And the money is always good, of course. When you sell your home, you want all the money, but if you don't know how to write up that for sure sticky contract and have your buyer be comfortable and knowing why they're doing that, you're just not gonna, it's not gonna work. Eventually you'll get lucky. But yeah, and also agents, probably another, I guess, myth, I think, would be that relationships don't matter. You cannot just not be friends with other agents. Like, that's never going to work. So
this market will prove that very quickly.
Yeah. And it's not that people, side to their friends, but of last night, I knew more than half of those agents. And it's more just that feeling of like, they know what they're doing. They're serious. They're totally in. And that I can trust that their client is in. And then some of them are not very nice because they feel like they're already not going to get it. And
they're frustrated, and it comes out and it doesn't help them.
Oh my
You manifest exactly what you are doing.
Yes. Yeah. And I want to help people. So
I love
much.
that.
Like even just other agents, it's like, can you just fix these couple things? But really it's like, you have to, because these poor buyers, it's
I
like,
know.
And they have no idea that that's happening on their offer.
No.
So
and I've known you've had a big heart and a genuine heart since we've met, that comes out in our conversations. And
Thank you.
it's really difficult because I want to help agents as well.
Yeah.
In a similar story, we had, we put in the instructions, email the offer to this, offers at Randy Byrd or whatever it was, and very clear, showing instructions. And then you get 30 phone calls. When can I see it? It's like, have you read the MLS? And then they, they don't send the offer to the right place. And then they call 27 times. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm trying to help you. You're shooting yourself in the foot before we ever get to the table. Yeah. And it's just following instructions. I did a top producers panel where I was the moderator, and it was like every one of them said, follow the instructions. Follow the instructions is like critical, because it's a tough time to be in this market. And
definitely.
It's beautiful for sellers, and amazing we're still seeing that. I know I talked to 2 people today. Sacramento is still seeing 150,000 over asking price. Santa Rosa is still over 150,000 over asking price. We're talking, 800,000 price ranges that are going 200,000 over. That's pretty amazing, right?
We just had a house here in Bellevue. I think it was in the news, that went for $1 million over.
$1 million over.
You just have to Google it. It's like, I don't even, and I have a friend in the neighborhood. It was on the news and in the paper.
Isn't that amazing?
It's crazy.
It's absolutely.
All it takes is 2 people for that to happen.
That's true. And you know what's interesting with me? Here's what's key to me is you have agents that are telling buyers to wait because the market's going to flip flop, or it's going to change, or it's going to crash, or it's going to do something. But somewhere somebody's willing to pay $100,000 or $1 million over asking price. Because they're trying to beat rates. There's all kinds of motivation.
Beating
and so
rates,
it's really
the
about
best thing to do is just get in.
It's get in, get in, lock it in, and then kind of take a deep breath, right?
Yeah. Worry about it later. It's buying a house is just like when you're putting all your money into your 401k. It's not something you're selling tomorrow or next year. And that's great for investors. And then you're looking at things with a different eye. You're obviously an investment property is not something you're getting into with like 10 other buyers, multiple offers. Those are different houses. Totally. But here, you might feel like you're overpaying, but also your mortgage is still less than our rents here. So even if you break even at the end of the day, you're saving money. And I highly doubt people are just going to break even. Exactly. And as long as you have that long-term, outlook, some of the properties I still have today, I went through 2008 and 9 with, and I struggled all the time wondering like, gosh, because I was doing short sales for everyone else. Like, should I do this for myself? Right. I was helping Microsoft people that were still making tons of money short sale because they didn't like being underwater, but they could pay. And here I am, like, markets down, stock, like everything I had was down. Yeah. But I just kept I had this theory. I signed those notes. If they have the money down to the penny, I'm going to write the check every single time. And I remember it was so devastating. My condo in Belltown, that's like my best Airbnb. There was a lady that bought the unit under mine for $400 less than I paid only a year or 2 before.
Oh my.
And God bless her. She's like, next time if that happens, I will be her.
Yeah, I'm going to be buying those up. I want Vegas to happen again.
But for me, long term at the time, that was my home. Yeah. I did put my 20% down. Yep. Rents weren't cheap just because the market tanked. Right. Rents were still rent. If anything, more people were renting. And so I always struggled like, gosh, should I be doing this for myself? And you hold on to the long term. And now it's my best Airbnb. It's paid off. It's like easy. And I went through the pain, and she did way better than me, but that's okay. Good for her. She's awesome. She's this cool Australian investor lady that she's pretty awesome.
That's amazing. And I love your grace, but it is timing, and it's also necessity and need, but same thing, Puerto Rico, we just bought a condo in Puerto Rico.
Oh, nice.
And I thought they made a mistake when they told me how much the rents are going for there.
Is it a lot?
Yeah. It's like,
Oh yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't expect Puerto Rico to have 10, 20, $30 million houses. I didn't. I just think, I thought, Mexico, I felt like that. Puerto Rico's amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
But we bought a condo modest. It's 465 and they rent
Nice.
for about 4,800 a month.
Oh
And I'm
my
like,
Lord.
that's,
I
usually.
just did like the cap rate in my head right now.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And so I was like,
Oh my gosh.
we used to do drive-by valuations. Like if it was 400 grand and we can get $3,000 a month rent, that's 0.7. That's a good number. It's a good return.
7 is like my minimum.
Yeah. 7's the minimum. Exactly.
Yeah.
So for those that are listening that don't understand, if you're looking at, just say for round numbers, if you're looking at a $1 million property, if it could rent for about 0.7, which is 7,000 a month, that's a good investment.
Yeah.
That's got a good ROI. It's got a good cap rate. And
Yeah.
so if you get a 1-to-1, if you're buying a house for say 250 and it can rent for 2,500, which is going on now in the Central Valley and stuff.
Oh yeah.
That is a smoking investment, right? And even a 0.5 is okay.
Yeah.
But when you get 0.7, 0.8 and above, and I was like, that's like a 1%. Like, how is that even possible?
Yeah. And it's great if you pay cash for the whole thing too, especially later in life, if you want the cash flow, but like you can do that with just like the little amount down. And then you think, gosh, if I put that same, let's say you did 10%, if I did the 40K in my stock market, like, that, or 401k or whatever, that would do great, but not like, 50, 60,000 a year.
Isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy? And
just
I
on
love
that little bit. Yeah.
I love the conversation, and you're a very bright agent. I see why you're doing very well. I don't know how you do it, doing lending and all that stuff, handling all that by yourself. 35, 40 deals in lending by yourself is a full-time job. And then you've got, doing that in real estate too. I applaud you.
Yeah. I do have a really good processor on loans.
You almost have to,
like,
right?
I think we've worked together now 10 years and
that's amazing.
She's amazing. And she now owns the company, which is like, I just love for her.
I love it.
Yeah. So, cause we started out where she was just processing and I was like,
right?
part-time, like I try to do loans, but I don't really try.
Yeah.
And then as things kept growing, it's like, okay, I'm still not trying, but now I'm doing like a ton of loans.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
and that's rare for your personality too, isn't it? I mean, you're a high D red, DI, but loans are like usually that SC personality that likes the detail. How do you do both?
I love the math part. I love putting it together and telling people these are all the things you can do. Like, it actually makes me really excited.
That gets me too. I get it.
Yeah. And sometimes they think there's not options. Cause I mean, as we know, everyone Googles things and gets different things, so it's like the things that people come to me and say, well, I can't do this. I read, I can't do that. And it's like, well, no, actually, you can't do that at Chase, but that's their own rule. That's not a Fannie Mae rule. That's
their only portfolio loan or
so
whatever.
Most of the lenders that we work with don't have overlays. It's just straight Fannie Mae, and she's cool. So
I love your style.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. I have another question before we let people know how they can get a hold of you if they want you. I want to promote you and be the source in Seattle. But what career or personal accomplishment makes you the most proud and why?
Okay, so a couple of things, I guess. I don't really know exactly where I am in the office. I told you it was like a rumor, but the fact that it's even a rumor and, and you get the Remax awards and the things and whatever. And so that all means a lot to me, but I don't really just keep track, but in the back of my head, it's like, gosh, I'm just helping people get a house and just loving on them and making them feel like part of my family. And I always want to be part of their family too. I hope, I probably think about people way more than they think of me. So there's clients I think of every day. They probably think I was a crazy stalker, if I texted them every time I was wondering what they were doing. Or their cute little kids or
how their dog's doing. Sarah, you're successful. It leaves.
Yeah, but it's I just love being a part of that.
That's great.
Yeah. And so I get the emails and the awards and the top percent of this and the whatever. And then, for the loans, like I just, in my mind, I'm just doing my job and just what I, want to do every day. So,
right. And that leads to freedom,
proud,
right? That leads to being able to afford and do the things that you love to do with your horses.
The fact that I'm even in horses at all is crazy. I was so worried when I went to college that I wouldn't be able to find my way back, because I saw how and it's not like ridiculously expensive, but it's the what ifs, like what if they got hurt, or right. And so like this new horse, I'll be showing him on the East Coast, which is a whole nother level I've never done.
Wow.
This summer is my first time. It's been my dream since I was a little girl.
Wow.
And I still am just pinching myself that I'm even going. I've never even gone to watch. I've only watched on video because it's live streamed, but just to be there is like just crazy. So, and I'm going to do that.
And that is the career accomplishment that's allowing you to do that, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And we can operate, remotely to some level, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I'll definitely be having help. In fact, I think the whole showing on the East Coast is going to be the catalyst that makes me delegate more. So I'm going to let it stress me out, because that's how I figure it out.
I love it.
And then next year we'll be talking and I'll have more help.
I love it. And like I was holding my ears when you were talking about coaches. That's my jam. That's my passion is helping people free up time. And
I should probably hire you we'll
chat. My coaching's full, but we're friends.
Okay, we are. I'm the hookup.
I really, really appreciate you being here, and I think your story is going to resonate with a lot of people, especially those agents that are emerging into the real estate world. Mm-hmm. More agents than ever are coming in right now. We have the highest number of agents ever in NAR and all this, mm-hmm. and it's because of the romanticizing of
it looks so easy.
And it looks so easy.
It is fun.
Yeah, until you're sitting there with nothing, nobody to call, and you're like, what do I do? Right?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I was there. I mean, that's one thing that keeps me hungry is I wanted to make it so bad that I just never forget that feeling in there of when I was like 23, straight out of college. And I was like, I'm going to be a loan officer. I don't even know what that is, but I'm going to do it. And it was so scary. And like, literally that's in my heart and in my gut. Like even right now, like every day you start at zero, and it's kind of a grind, but it's like, as long as you're in it for the right reasons. I
love it.
It works.
You eat what you kill every day, right?
Every day. Yeah.
I love that. Well, tell the viewers how they can get a hold of you if you want to do that. And you're in the Seattle area, so referrals and all that. But
so
what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Yeah, gosh. Text me 206-478-1560. And then will you post like email or Instas, or
I could
send you some handles.
Yeah, send me your handles.
Okay.
Yes, we'll post it on Facebook and Insta and stuff, and then you could tag it and
sure. Yeah. I'm always happy to help answer questions. I'm super passionate about getting people into investing. Sometimes people call me and they're like, I just want to buy a little condo. And it's like, well, how much do you have? Because actually you should do this with the same amount of money and make double.
Amen. And that is the beauty of what we do.
And I wish someone told me that when I was just starting out. So, I
love the fact you have the knowledge on both the lending and real estate side. That's pretty.
Oh yeah. It helps.
That's a big deal.
Tremendously.
It's a big deal because every story I have in my career that's just a complete train wreck, where the train's off the tracks and they're stacked up, it's been a lending issue. And so you controlling that is a big deal. I'm learning from you.
Yeah. I always tell agents on the other side, if I'm doing their loan, you can rest assured it will close because
Done deal.
they are fully underwritten and I have like 3 backup plans. Because if you're doing both, it's a lot of pressure.
Totally.
And so I do all the work way ahead of time.
You're amazing.
Because I have to sleep at night too, and my clients as well. So
yeah, but you don't sleep, you told us.
I don't really that well.
I know, right? I can't tell you how many times I get up at 3 a.m. I'm scratching stuff down because once I get an idea in my head, there's no going back to sleep.
Yeah. I just hear everything, and now we just adopted those 2 crazy dogs.
Oh my God.
So it's very adventurous.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here. You are a Titan. Not only in my mind, but in the mind of the viewers. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying your story. Keep rocking.
Thank you. Okay.
Take care. Appreciate you.
All right. Okay.
Bye for now.
Bye, Randy. Thank you.
Bye for now.